you're going to get something that's better than nothing. So, sometimes you have an employer that, takes out for your Social Security, but if you're kind of self-employed and stuff like that, or you know, you're not working for a company, you have to put in on your own. Now, for example, my partner, she pays into her Social Security every month. She's not working. Well, what we know is work, but she also has, well, a backup thing because she's not broke. But, what if that all went wrong with money that she has? She's gonna have to look forward to something like Social Security. Yeah, it doesn't pay much, but especially out here in the Philippines, but it's better than a kick in the ass. There's some people that don't pay into that system at all. So the fact is, even if you don't like work, you got to work. But if you're a Filipino living out here, born and raised here, you're gonna have to work, or you're gonna find a way to get money to put into your Social Security system. And we've known people out here that don't at all. And they're starting to approach that age of 60. A little different than the United States, where minimum 62, you can retire but lesser benefits. But out here, you could actually put in more money in your Social Security program. You could actually add. I mean, you might have to change the paperwork a little bit. You agree to pay so much, but you could change that up and you could add more money to that to guarantee a little bit better pension. You know, Social Security. Well, this is what she does. Now, let's say she ran out of money, never put anything into the system. I croak. She's not going to have anything. Except maybe the help from her relatives. Well, sisters, brothers, whatever, who all kind of sort of have their own money. She'd have to be dependent on them, which is something that she wouldn't want to do, but if she ever needed to, she can do that. Not everybody's in that situation where family is actually going to help you out. Certainly not in America. You're on your own. Well, face the fact that you're basically on your own in this world. And don't expect help from people when you're having a hard time. That might be a difficult task. You start borrowing money from people. Okay. And they said, okay, enough. I've helped you out long enough. You got to boots on the ground and start taking care of yourself and find ways to raise money. Family's only willing to help so much. And I think you all know that. But the Social Security system, yeah, 60 years old out here, 60 rather than 62. So, did you pay in all those years? Well, a lot of people out here don't. And then they become family dependent. They have to move in if they didn't before. They have to move in with other family members. And they would have to at least contribute somehow by, if you had any talents, like doing repair work around the house or helping with something to earn your keep. It wasn't always that they took you in and you didn't contribute at all. You didn't have the money to contribute on that part, but you had to do other things to stabilize yourself in that family to be able to give you that room and board. You had to contribute to something. That's the way it is in the Philippines. They'll take you in. Family members will. They'll find a place for you to sleep and all that, but you're gonna have to contribute. It's kind of like that out here. Good morning, Maximus. Oh, so it's safe to say your partner won't be making rags to get by. Yes, it's safe to say that. Oh yeah, I mean, even if there was a situation, yeah, she could sell the house, absolutely, and she'd be rich by Filipino standards, absolutely. She has that option. She certainly does. And that's like my biggest gift that I could give to her, really, besides my love, my love. And that's why I did that. And it's also, and don't forget, it's also benefiting me because I don't have to worry about paying rent or, dealing with a landlord. And gosh, you know how I stand about being a landlord. Oh God, never again. If I could, never again. But that's the advantages. There's two things you're doing when you buy a house. And some say, "Oh, I don't buy a house. Well, I didn't have to. I decided it was a good idea for two reasons. For one, being that I don't have to worry about rent anymore. That's that much less I have to spend every month. Two, it sets up her future. And if shit really ever did hit the fan, yes, she has that option of selling the house. And, consider that I'm really the one that paid for the house. I didn't ask any contributions from her. I bought the house. So she's had no real expenditure of any money. So anything she sells the house for is like 100% profit. I mean, real estate is a good deal because, well, like I had my house in Hawaii. To tell you the truth, really, it was a nice house. It was basic, kind of like ranch style, but it was Hawaii. That's the whole thing. And did I think my house could yield me any kind of pocket money after the mortgage was paid and everything else? I really didn't. I really didn't. But as I said, I came in a situation where it was a seller's market, and the timing is everything, really. The timing was right. I sold the house, and I made a pretty good amount of money. But if you think how much interest you paid on the house for all those years, are you really making money? You got to understand the mathematics. How many years have you had the house? You've been paying interest on it. You've been paying insurance on it, mandatory insurance. So you've had a bigger expenditure of money than you want to think on a conscious level. You're not really thinking, oh yeah, I sold the house and I made some money, but then much to have to put out on taxes, insurance. Yeah, it takes a big chunk of your profit. Well, let's put it this way. Having a house and selling it and making some money on it is like a forced savings account in a way. Yeah, you did spend money on taxes and everything else, but that's over a period of time. It just didn't hit you all at once. If you lived there for 15 years, you didn't come up with 15 years worth of tax. You were doing this monthly and everything. But, you sell the house, and if you want to just throw that shit away and say, well, forget about the taxes and insurance I paid. I'm getting a big paycheck now, and that's all that matters. And that's all really that matters to me, because yes, you are paying taxes and insurance and maintenance. And that does, is kind of a burden of owning a house. But in the end, you think about what did I pay for the house to have it built, and you know, how much am I profiting from the house? And I profited pretty well, to my surprise, actually. And as I said, again, seller's market, you will get your price. And I was a little shocked as to what I got for the house. Minus something that I might have owed on a credit card. And of course, that was my bad, but nevertheless, it was paid. It was paid. Looking back, you say, well, yeah, you did bad. Why didn't you pay that credit card, Frank? Yeah, well, my bad. But it was paid when I sold the house. That's the way it works with escrow. I don't have any houses to sell, and we're certainly not selling this. And I'm not worried about I'm not worried about anything else beyond that. I mean, I just know I don't have to pay a rent. Okay. I could do what we want with the house, fix it up, paint it in polka dots if we have to. We could do what the hell we want with the house, you know, sell it if there really was an emergent need to sell it. We could decide to split the profits, whatever, or just move on to a different location or um, and still buy a house and still have money left over. There are plenty of houses you could buy that less than what we paid for this, that is still nice and livable and whatnot. So in other words, I'm trying to say in long term is that, yeah, having a house is better than not out here because, yes, it does gain value. And according to where you live, as far as the rate of value increase, I mean, it just is according, do you live in a kind of resort town, which I kind of do, That makes all the difference in the world. Instead of living in some, I don't know, like kind of a Philly in a Philippines situation, some shit house somewhere in bumfuck Egypt, you're not going to be able to really gain a lot of money as you would call profit. But then again, you don't own the house, I guess. He's renting, but renting is really throwing your money out. You're making the landlord rich, and you're putting out money every single month. So it's worth buying a house, despite the maintenance, despite anything. And my taxes are nothing. My taxes for this house is about somewhere around 8,000 pesos a year. That's like what, 160 bucks, 150 bucks a year. No, I'm not kidding. That's what we pay per year on this house. Shit. See the taxes I used to pay, the house I owned in Seattle, the house I owned in Hawaii. Shit, I mean, I think I was paying close to a couple $100 alone just for taxes and insurance. Probably came to more than that. It's like the same concept of buying a condo out here. All right, you bought it, free. I mean, you're free of any kind of payments. You're not doing a mortgage. You bought it in cash. Sounds great, right? But no, but then you're going to be forced to pay there's different types of condo fees, maintenance fees, whatever, that you're going to have to pay. So, are you really living rent free? When you think about it, no, you're not because you're paying something equivalent to maybe a lower rent, but you're still paying that. You're not home free when you put out the cash to buy a condo. You're just not. So that's where I look down on condos because, you'll pay X amount of money per month on these fees, mandatory, by the way. So where did you benefit really? You really didn't. Let's see, Maximus. Does she have another family home besides the one she stayed? Well, in Leyte, it's the kids' home. It's her mom's place, but her mom doesn't live there. The aunt or something lives there. She's like blind. She's a really nice lady, and she could not afford cataract surgery, and she's really up there in age, and her son has to take care of her, some neighbor and whatever. No, all the kids own the Leyte home. It's not much of a home. I mean, I'll be frank about it. It's pretty much really a shack, and it got damaged from the storm, and we helped to fix it up and all that, put a new roofing on there and stuff, and I helped with that, but it needs a lot of work. I mean, quite frankly, I think the house is better off being bulldozed down. If they really wanted to, the family and chip in and just rebuild on there, they could. The lot's probably worth more than the structure that's on the lot. It is actually, because when that storm hit, it did a lot of damage and everything. So yeah, she does, between her and her sisters, and brother, they all basically are, going to be owners of the house once her mother passes away. Now, what they want to do with that, I mean, I would never live in Leyte. I don't know about Leyte. It seems hotter there. I don't know how Tim K does it, but there's not much going on in Leyte. I could tell you that. I've been there, and it's just seemingly so hot there. I'm not sure why it's hotter in Leyte than other places, but it's just, when I was out there, I just realized that, man, this is kind of crazy heat out here. It was very uncomfortable for me. But the house, I mean, it would actually really take a rebuild, to be honest with you. It really would. However, that's an option. That's an option. If all hell broke loose and we had to live somewhere, we'd have a small house in Leyte to live in. But that wouldn't work for me. But in order to make that house livable, It would be a great expenditure of money to get that to be really what I would call livable. It's a small house. It's functional, but just barely functional. But it would take, revamping just about everything, kitchen, roofing, everything. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. But it's an option. If all hell broke loose, we could always have a place in Leyte, and the rest of the family is not going to say, "Oh, you can't live there because it belongs to us too." No, they're not going to say that. They vacation out there. They used to before the storm. They used to like to come to Leyte to visit the mother, but now she's in Cebu. They don't have to do that. But it is occupied by a relative of their mom, who unfortunately, kind of a sad situation. She, lost her eyesight, terrible cataracts, and she has to be taken care of. And she's still kicking, somewhere around the age. Well, she's up there. She's probably in her 80s. Like my girlfriend's mom is. She's 88. 88. 80 fucking 8. Man. It's nice in the mountains, yeah. Well, you get cooler temperatures if you're in the mountains, but and that would be a consideration of me if I ever wanted to go somewhere. But even though I don't frequent the ocean every day, it's down the block, really, from me. I'm not at the beach all the time. It's called being spoiled. You know it's there. You can go to any time you want. But it's nice to know it's actually there because when you want to go, you don't have to travel great distances to go to the ocean, to go on a white sand beach. That's a benefit of where I live. It's a good scenario. It's there for when you want. And people pay a lot of money to vacation here, transportation and everything and lodging, just to go to the beaches here. Well, I live here. The beaches are right here, 8-minute walk. So that's the benefit of where I'm living. Now, we like where we're living. We like where we're living. You know, I like the house. Um, Other than chasing after ants all the time, there's got to be excuse the expression, bugaboo, a fly in the ointment somewhere when you own a house. But, you're living in the tropics and you're going to have all kinds of creatures and bugaboos somewhere. You just got to deal with them. Keep them at bay, I say. Keep them at bay. But yeah, owning a house gives options. So what's the best gift that you can give to your Filipina that is kind of a gift that keeps on giving? It's getting a house. Because if something happens to her kids automatically, on paper too, will inherit the house. And they could do whatever they want with it. Chances are they'd probably just have it rented out. But then they'd have to divide it between themselves, the rent, which is not going to be much if you have to divide it. But since they have jobs and everything else in Cebu, uh, chances are they're not going to be moving in over here. If something happened to my girlfriend, and so I was gone, and something happened to her. They're not going to be living out here. They'd probably have to. They probably would have to either decide to sell it and divide the profits among the other kids, siblings, or they'd rent it out. And they wouldn't make a hell of a lot of money between all of them that actually would own a house. But it would give them a little income. It's according to how much you're going to get for the house. And how much could you probably rent this place out for? Well, shoot. I don't know. It's not an incredible amount. At best, maybe 35,000 a month, probably. So, how much does that pan out for them? Well, maybe 5,000 pesos a month between them, which is extra income for them every month. But still, again, there's maintenance of the house, stuff like that. You're always going to be putting out or losing money in some respect. You're going to have to make repairs if you want the house to keep its value. There's a lot of people that don't. They let it just really get to a state that's, you know, without regular maintenance, is going to cost them more in the end. I had a landlord like that here who didn't really want to do anything unless you really, really, really had to. Now, what does that mean? If you don't do something or don't do it right, you know, it's going to cost you money more in the future when you're going to have to put out an expenditure of money, a greater amount of money, to fix everything that has gone haywire with the house, replacing gutters or whatever it might be involved in your house, roofing, anything that might go wrong, electrical and so forth. Isn't it better to just maintain the house on a regular basis? Well, my landlord at the time, she was a good landlord, but she didn't really do that. And a lot of times to get something done, you'll find this happens out here. You might have to go halvesy. So you propose an idea, say, look, I want to get rid of these couple of levelor, or what do you call them, jalousie rather, windows, because it's not cost efficient. I got an air conditioner room, it's going right out the window if you got jalousie windows. I did that with the landlord. I said, tell you what, let's go halvesy on this. It was motivation to get it done, because maybe she wouldn't do it otherwise, because no landlord wants to lose her profit every month. You're paying them X amount of money rent, and no landlord really, if you don't have to, want to screw up their month's profit of rent and have to put out money on fixing something. So one of the ways of dealing with landlords out here is sometimes you have to compromise. Say, I'll tell you what, I'll go halvesy on this. And they're more than willing to do that. They are. Than putting all the money out themselves. Now, when I owned a house, was renting it out, or a portion of the house, if something went wrong, the stove broke, the refrigerator, I'd replace it because it's your obligation to do so. And I did. But that's part of the responsibility of owning a house. If you're going to rent it out, they got to have running water. They got to have hot water. They have to have a stove to cook. They have to have a refrigerator. You don't have to buy them a microwave, but the basics have to be there. And if it breaks down, unless it's something caused by your tenants, that would be their responsibility. It wouldn't be yours. But if it broke down because, it was getting old and went through a lot of use, then that's your responsibility as landlord. Okay. It's nice to have that freedom, isn't it? Yeah. Mr. Somebody says you will be around for another 20 years. Well, you never know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I don't know. Would you really want to know when your time is up? I mean, you'll obviously know if you develop a bad cancer, stage 4, you know that, well, it's around the corner. You're not going to be around. You can plan for that. But, you're just kind of hopping along in life and everything seems copacetic and all that. You're not thinking about when you're going to die necessarily. You're going to. We all are. But if you're lucky enough to be healthy enough, that's a good start right there. But you don't know how long you're going to live. And would you really want to know? I don't know. Would you really want to know when you were going to die? You couldn't live your life, the rest of it, I think, in a state of mind without being in fear all the time. I mean, oh, gee, another 2 years, I'm going to be dead. So you make your bucket list. Well, I better do this, I better do that, because I'm going to die in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever the hell it is. I don't really think you'd want to know that. Would you really want to know that? I don't know. I don't think I would. Running water, hot water. Some people don't only dream of these luxuries. Yeah, out here, it's pretty common out here. Hey, you want to live that lifestyle. Some foreigners actually choose to live that lifestyle, But actually, at the beginning of my topic actually today was kind of rehashing some stuff here that I talked about recently. I was saying about, and I meant it too, when you come and you want to retire in the Philippines, it's not all fun and games. As I said again, we're not having to do a show about this again, just the highlights. You live in a big city, you go to the mall. You go to the mall to cool off. A lot of Filipinos don't have air conditioning on the really hot days, and it's coming up March, April, May, June. Those are the hottest days, and you'll find a lot of Filipinos and foreigners alike hanging around the malls. And why not? Free electricity, right? You're getting free air conditioning. They'll hang around. There might be activities going on at the mall sometimes. You want to just sit there with your family, have some soft drinks or something or snacks. But it's a way of cooling off from the heat. And you know how it is in the Philippines if you've been here, and especially, during starting sort of kind of from March, but definitely April and a few months after that, it could be really excruciating. I know because I've been through almost 9, years of this coming February. And I know how hot it can get here. But it's the tropics, after all. You could have made your own choices, go move to the Arctic or something if that's what you want, or move to a more temperate climate, a place that's more of a temperate climate. Those are choices you make. But if you're living out here, that's by your choice. You have to deal with a lot of issues out here. Dengue, fever, there's just all kinds things you got to deal with. But getting back to where I was on this and on another show, yeah, when you retire here, there may not be as much activities as if maybe you lived in the States. You might not find if you like bowling, you want to try your hand at it. You have to look long and hard to find a bowling alley out here if that's what you like to do. I've bowled in my life, but it was never something I like that much. There are parks you can go to out here. There are adventure parks, stuff like that. You could go to that now and then. But if you're going to take a whole family in there, it could get awfully expensive. But not like Disneyland. What is it going to cost? Like a minimum of $100 per head just to enter this place in either Disneyland or Disney World. And then what they charge for the rides. And then what they're going to charge for, you're going to feed your family. You're going to eat there. You're going to eat snacks, You want to have fun. Take the family out. But it would cost an average family, I think, to go to like Disney. What's the one in California? Disney World or Disneyland? Disneyland. It could cost you $1,000. You got like a family of 4 or 5 or something. It costs you could cost like $1,000 to go there for a day of entertainment. But then once you're there, and there's another problem. You might have tickets or whatever for certain rides and all that stuff. But the problem is there's so many people that want to go on these rides that you can't do all of them. Or you're going to have to be there the whole day to make sure you can go on these different rides. So you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? There are cheaper ways of entertaining yourself. Well, there are. But you have to explore what's available out here. I'm not saying that, you got to expect total boredom of retiring out here. It's really according to what you like to do. I mean, you want to hang in a bar to, kind of get rid of your boredom. I wouldn't say that's the best choice in the world. If you don't have a mall near you, what do you do in a small province town or island province town? Well, the fact is your choices are limited, but don't get me wrong. They do have a few nature parks out here you can go to. Okay, you can do that. You can hang around the beach. Some people really like that. Because you see the resorts that are on the beach, they have shaded cabanas and stuff like that. So instead of staying in the house all day, you pay them a couple of bucks or something if you're not, renting for the day their facilities. Anybody can go to the resorts right there. You could use the swimming pool. We have numerous swimming pools out here. You can go swimming. Oh, that's an idea. There you go. I gave myself my own idea of something else I could do. They got swimming pools, and as I said, if you're not vacationing in that resort, you can still have use of the swimming pools. You just pay a few pesos, and you have use of the swimming pools. You could do that. If you don't like swimming in a filthy ocean, you swim in a filthy swimming pool. And we do have a lot of them out here. And that's an idea, actually. The kids do that now and then, but that's not really a bad idea because it's good exercise. So, yeah, if you have resorts in your town, and not everybody has resorts in their little province towns, you ain't going to find a swimming pool. Well, we got plenty here at the resorts. That's one thing I could say that we do have. And it's not much money to you. In fact, you could just rent a cabana for the whole day. You want to go out with your family and you want to bring some food, and you don't have to be staying at the resort as a guest. You just pay a matter of maybe a few hundred pesos, and you can have like a nice shaded, cabana that, with seating and a table, good size, that you can cook up some stuff, spend time with your family. And we do that now and then. We actually do. This way you're out of the sun. If you want to go in the water, you can, but you can always retreat back to the shade. It's cool under these cabanas. So that could work for you too. There's a couple of things you can do. Nature park, stuff like that. But unfortunately, there's things you would have to do repeat episodes of. Because whatever's on the island is on the island. That's it. Oh, but now they're building this big complex here. My God, it's going to be 11 stories high, which will be the biggest structure on this island. And they are going to have, guess what? A casino. Wow, red flags on that, huh? In many ways. I love slot machines. I never win on them, but whenever I've been on one. But I never really even tried the casinos in Cebu. All the times I'm in Cebu, they got casinos. Never tried my hand at it, but the house always wins. You gotta remember that. You could do that to have a little fun. Go there with limited money, and try to come back with the same amount that you spent. Hopefully, so in other words, if you win, take the original amount of money that you brought with you, put it in your pocket, back in your wallet, and just play with any winnings. This way you're always ahead. You got your original money back. But people get greedy. Oh, I'm going to win it this time. I'm going to win it this time. Then they go through all their money, any winnings they might have had, and of course the original amount of money that they took with them. So if you want to try your hand at gambling or something, just bring X. This will be a long time before this thing is going to be finished, but I'll definitely be there. Yeah, it's something to look forward to too. But you don't want to make it a habit because it's a good way to just go through your funding very quickly. And some people live for that. They make a living on gambling. A lot of people live in Vegas. That's how they live, from their gambling. They don't have a job, so I don't know, but they had money somewhere. I see these things on Facebook. You got these big ass gamblers. This guy isn't just putting, 50 cents or something into the machine. This guy is putting $500 to $1,000 on certain machines. I'm not kidding. You've seen that probably on the Facebook feeds or something. Now, this guy's obviously got a lot of money. Who could afford to throw in $10,000 on a machine and hope to profit? And he didn't profit all the time. Sometimes he lost his shirt on that. Then he'd go, well, I'm going to try another machine. And he still was willing to put out more money. When you got that kind of money to lose, I mean, holy shit, what are you worth? But to do it on a slot machine, oh, this one's going to pay off. This one hasn't paid off for a long time. I'm going to try my luck on this. And it's worked for him, too. He had some pretty good payouts, but you got to also, kind of put in your losses, too. How much did he spend? Yeah, brisket. Yeah, resort is a great way to spend the day. When there's a brownout, and a lot of them that might have generators. Oh, absolutely, that they do that out here. Speaking of generators, I got to get mine attended to because it's not running again, and it maybe has to do with this filter on there, but or a small leak because I've tried to run this thing a few times up to the point of a cardiac arrest, pulling on that damn fucking rope, and I said, "Fuck this." It's got gas in it. It's just that somewhere in that filter area, there's some gas leakage or something that comes out of there. Of course, the filter gets clogged up as a result of that. So the filter is rendered useless. I can't find a filter for this thing. You can do a makeshift filter that might work. I had some ideas and make a little template of this filter, and you could even use the scrubbies. Buy those green scrubbies in the store, not with the sponge on it, but the green scrubbies they're very porous, and you could actually get away with that. So I haven't found one that was the size I needed, but you could find that, and you could actually use that. I wouldn't say permanently, but it's an older model, and it's been doing good for us so far. But we always have these little bugaboos in it, where for some reason, the if you want, there's a shutoff valve too for the fuel. If you leave that on, it's going to get a little bit flooded out. I've done that sometimes. And sometimes you have to run the generator with the off position to burn out the existing fuel that's in the line because it's gotten kind of flooded. And you'll know when it's using it up because the generator will shut down. Then you can put it on open and start fresh. You got a throttle, and you also have a flow. Actually, there's another kind of a bar that's a flow for the gas, and you're supposed to shut it off. Put it on close when you're finished with the using the generator. Sometimes I leave it on, and that could cause too much gas in the system that you got to kind of burn out if you can get the damn thing started. Anyway, uh, I could probably use another generator, really. In fact, I'm going to mess around with it today now that I'm actually thinking about that. If not, I'll call this guy I always call, and he always manages to get it started. But, if we have a blackout, I need that thing running. And we're going to get the extra hot season coming up in the months coming. I'll guarantee there's going to be numerous blackouts, brownouts, whatever you want to call them out here. To me, it's a blackout. And you're going to need that. You're going to need that generator. You're going to need to get that air conditioning on. I'm not going to sweat my nuts. So it means buying a new generator. I'll buy a new generator. But, you know, if I can fix this one, I mean, it's usually not something really complicated, but it's kind of troubleshooting it. That takes the time. I think there's just a little bit of flooding going on in it. There's too much gasoline in the system. It's kind of flooded, shall I say. But yeah, resort is a great way. So actually, I mean, there are things to do out here. You're just going to want to go and do it. It's just cold like when you get lazy sometimes. I could easily say, hey, man, let's go to the pool. Let's go to the pool. And it takes both of us to want to do it. But sometimes we get so involved with other things going on around the house, this and that we don't do these things. But actually, there are things actually to do in this town. As I said, we have some nature parks, and even though we've been to them before, it doesn't mean you can't go to them again. It's a really nice atmosphere, a nice environment. You can do that. Okay, again, numerous resorts, and there are many that have their own pools at Octong Cave, and I can name other resorts that have, one of them has a pretty nice sized pool. One of them is privately owned by somebody who just utilizes a pool, and they have like a little concession stand for buying a few snacks and whatnot. You got nice shaded areas to go to and all that. just, costs you very little money to do it. So, alas, there is a few things to do in town. You just got to want to get up off your lazy ass and do it. No malls. Forget about the malls. There's never going to be a mall here ever. That'll never happen. It takes a big city to have a mall. You can't build a mall in a small province, island town, really. It's not that big of a place, and you ain't got nobody might has the money to go to the mall. Anyhow, other than that, there's nothing to report. I'm going to get off here, so I don't want to making this an extremely long show. Live stream. Let me replace the word. It's not a show. But as far as uh, me being lonely, I think was that said. No, I'm never lonely. Lonely? I'm Mr. Lonely. Well, that I'm not. Thank goodness for small miracles. Lonely, I am not. And if I want to really start hanging around and pushing myself to be around foreigners, I could do that any time, but it's not my choice to do that. It's not what I want. I'd rather not. Hello and goodbye situation. Well, there was a really cool guy that just died recently, though. And his Asawa was the one that left me all the vitamins and about a couple of million pesos. No, I'm just joking. Just the vitamins. I was very grateful for that. Very grateful. There are good foreigners out here. You just got to find them and get to know them. But, where do you meet them? In a bar? Well, if that's the kind of foreigner that I don't want anything to do with them, really. If that's all they do is drink and they're alcoholics. But if you don't fit in with the crowd, you got to do what they do. That's why organizations and groups might not have you as a member if you're not doing the things they do. So if they're drinkers and you don't drink, you don't want to hang at the bars, right? But you got to do what the boys do. It's a boys' club is what it is. You got to sit there and drink and slur your speech after a while and rehash some old hash or talk about the ones that got away. It was a big one. Or she was a good-looking one. Well, that was a big fish. Whatever. Snoresville. What's that? Andy said, I think it was yesterday you mentioned about your team planning a trip to Manila. Well, you guys remember everything. Nothing to talk about on that. Nothing. Nada. I'm not going to tell. But it is true. It is true. Yeah. I'm not making a trip. Somebody else is, Oh, I'm so lonely. I can cry. Who's lonely when you got your doggies and you got your family here? Who's lonely? I'm not lonely. I'll bet you dollars to donuts. A lot of them darn YouTubers out there are awfully lonely. Awfully lonely. That's why they got so much time on their hands to criticize poor old Frank. Poor old Frank. Leave the old guy alone. No, everything is copacetic here. Seriously, really. It is. Everything's copacetic. I have no quirks, on my lifestyle. I think I could improve on a few things. That's for damn sure. No question about that. It's good. It's all good. I don't know if I'd have it any other way. Like I said, I wouldn't live in a city unless I really, 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 really was forced to or had to. The big city would not be my choice. Nah. Because I've gotten to live in areas that were like semi-rural, like when I lived in Hawaii and stuff like that. And even when I lived in Seattle, I didn't live in a big city. I lived north of the city, of the urban area, excuse me. I lived north in the suburbs, You know, the suburb. Yeah, that's where I lived. I never really lived in the big city ever, anywhere actually. It was never a big city. It might have been a bedroom, what they call a bedroom community of the big city, but I've never really lived in a big city, and I wouldn't. Well, I really wouldn't want to do it by choice unless I actually really had to. That's my advice on that. No, go live in a province, man. You'll like it a lot better. If you're looking for women, it's probably the best women you're gonna find is gonna be in a province. Good morning, morning flower, my little sunshine. You get some good sleep?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, my sweetie, my sweetie. Tell me how much you love me, baby.
How much?
How much do you love me, baby? How much you
You
love me?
cannot pay.
What was that? What was that?
Huh?
How much you love me? How much you love me?
How much I love you?
Yeah.
Why are you asking me?
So
You,
I'm supposed to know that, right?
you know already.
I think I do. Ask me how much I love you.
You
How much I love you.
cannot
Cannot
say.
measure, right?
Yeah.
I know, it's immeasurable. Isn't love grand? This is my point. I'm never lonely. I'm never lonely, you know. But unfortunately, there's a lot of expats that are, and they get really bitter, and they call you some really bad names, you know, because they want to have what you have. Well, you could, but it takes a lot of work to get to that position. You got to want to try. You want to make the effort to find a woman, check her out, kick the tires, check the oil and the filters and see if she's okay. Then drive it home, you know, right? And let's get it from the horse's mouth, as they say, that expression. What is it like living with me? What is it like? What is it like living with me? What joy do you get out of it? Do I have a sense of humor? What do I, what is
Yeah, you have a lot of sense of humor.
that I do? After all, I'm on YouTube, right? How humorous can that be? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. I take good care of you?
Yes. 100%.
100% coming from the horse's mouth.
Horses. Bye.
Yeah, there you go. Nah, guys, we're good. We're good.
If me a horse's face, how about others? Is tikbalang?
Yeah, I know. Everybody's got something to say about somebody.
Ah,
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, if she looks like a horse, then I want a stable. You'd want a stable of horses that would
yeah.
look like her. Seriously. No, she's not a bad looking woman at all. And some people call her Granny because she just turned 50. But I laugh at that. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm 20 years older than her, you know.
They look me a granny, but I'm younger than yours.
Hmm. Yeah. People have a label for just about everything. Because they're jealous. They're jealous. And I could understand why. I could understand why.
Even my friends didn't believe I'm already 50.
Yeah, her friends don't believe she looks her age, and she's looking pretty good. Like me, I don't look bad for my age, I think. At least I've been told. And I could try to humor myself and say, no, man, you look like you're 30 years old. Well, that's never going to happen. I don't look like I'm 30, and I don't look like I'm 40, and I don't look like I'm 50. But yeah, I could pass in my 60s. It's just kind of going through a change. There's a period of time, it wasn't that vast of a difference. There's a period of time that, and maybe 10 years back, and let's say, 60, whatever. Some people thought I was 45 or at best 50 when I was 60. But as time has gone by, that gap is really starting to narrow, you know. now I'm very happy and lucky to have somebody say, you don't look your age. You look like you're in your early 60s at best. But I don't hear any more about anything lower than that. No, I don't hear any more about you look like in your 50s anymore. No, I don't hear that. It catches up to you. Let's be real. And the older you get, it catches up to you. And when you did look like you were looking incredibly younger than your actual chronological age, that starts to dissipate, and you're going to hear compliments, but it's not going to be like what you want or what you want to hear. You're not going to always want to hear what you want to hear. Just look in the mirror. Every picture tells a story, honey. Every picture tells a story. Look in the mirror. See where you're at, Jack. Mirrors don't lie unless you turn the lights low when the lights are low. Might tell a different story. Ooh, I'm up to 20 now. Yeah. You gotta sort of kind of make fun of not really just like fun of getting older, but it's it's really like looking back. So you have all this, life experience, and you look back and you say, wow, I can't believe I made it through that. Or this could have happened, or should have happened, or didn't happen, or whatever. Look back on your life and think about the positive. We've all had some negative. In our current age, whatever age it might be, we have our days that are not good. We have days that are great. Sometimes you make mistakes. And, we're all, to err is human, as they say, because we are not a perfect species at all. Oh my God, I'm listening to, oh God, don't want to talk about Trump. The shit that guy's planning to do, there's going to be a war. Look, you guys, most of you guys have been voting all this Republican shit these days. The so-called woke generation. But let me see how awake you're going to be when Trump takes your ass to war. When he completely eradicates the middle class, okay? See if he's going to be your hero. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what did he want to do, he said? Oh, and talk about a guy that's very diverse as far as respecting people's, you know, sex preferences and all that other shit. Look, you know, the only, the only sensible thing that he said was that there should be man and a woman. That's it. You're either a man or you're a woman. The only thing I agree with him, Trump. That's the only thing I agree. Then he's gonna really frazzle. Okay, we have a lot of illegal immigrants in the USA, right? Plenty, right? Okay, I understand the concept. I really do. Be a legal immigrant rather than a legal immigrant. We know a few here in the Philippines, don't we? But with that being said, these people, they have families and children, you know, and, might as well just throw them out on the street, is what Trump wants to do. Throw them out on the street. He don't care. He got all the money in the fucking world. He's never been in that position. Ever. He don't know what it's like. But, it's the same thing as throwing somebody on the street. Building a wall. Let me tell you something. You can build the tallest wall in the world. You're not necessarily going to keep illegal immigrants out because there's always agents that are willing to get a little money on the side. As far as the border is concerned, it just never works. Shit, they had tunnels. They were getting into America through elaborate tunnels. I mean, what weren't they doing to get into America? But then they want to build a life in America and get jobs and all that stuff. And I agree with people. Yeah, a lot of them were taking away American jobs. We agree on something, some of us anyway. But they moved to America, which is a very expensive place to live. Is it not? Is it made up? No, it's true. It's a very expensive place to live. So unless you go to sneak into the country and there's a family, and let's talk about Mexicans, that you have a family that's working, okay, and maybe they could get you some under the hand, under tax, out of the tax market job, whatever. Okay, but you have to be with a family, first of all, first and foremost, because it's so expensive to live in America. This dream of wanting to come to America, let's really think about that. You don't have to be, say, a poor Mexican, it's just your average Joe that lives in America, where, their money's just not going the way it used to anymore. It's just not. So, not that it's funny, but they all want to come to America to live the dream. But you can't do it independently. I mean, you're going to have somewhere to go, and hopefully, the family out there that's going to put you up until you can get situated with a, under the counter, under the table job. Okay? Then there's that group of people that say, well, yeah, you're taking away America's workers' jobs because, well, Mexicans, have always been willing to take on jobs for lesser money. And of course, that's why corporations have actually moved to third world countries too, because the labor expenses have always been cheaper. Of course, that doesn't help America out when all the industry is moving to different countries because of course, what do you think happened with the Dole plantations in Hawaii? And they got Filipinos, they got Japanese, Chinese people that went over to Hawaii to work in the plantations. Okay. And of course, as time progressed, they got greedy like anybody else did. And, we want higher wages, we want this and that. So Dole, in part, turned around and said, fuck this shit. I'm just going to put our plantations elsewhere, Or initially, what they did was, of course, to hire these immigrants and all that who would work for a lot less money. But as time went by, Dole's expenses got greater, and it was no longer viable to hire these immigrants, and a lot of them, I'm sure, were illegal. It was no longer a viable option because people were demanding, we want benefits, we want higher wages. So Dole turned around and said, fuck this shit. That's in part what happened, actually, but they took their operations elsewhere to a third world country or something. That's what they did. And a lot of companies have done that. A lot of industries, had their businesses through China or somewhere. They get cheaper labor. You're desperate enough that you need a job, you're willing to work at less wages if it means feeding your family. That's just the way it goes. That's never changed. So I don't know, the dream of living in America, I think that dream is over. Not many can afford to live or stay in America. That dream is over. Stereotypical white picket fence and two-car garage, a chicken in every pot. You're lucky you can afford to buy a chicken these days. If you go to the Philippines, they're charging over 250 pesos per kilo. And this is a developing country too, mind you. A developing country. 250 pesos, that's like, that's close to like $5 per, okay, if it's a kilo, yeah. That's a lot of money for a lousy chicken. But you gotta eat, right? And you're willing to pay that price because what choice do you have unless you just want to go out with the cows and eat grass? You could do that too, but then, how long could you eat grass? I don't know, man. There's not a solution for everything, but sometimes there are solutions. But You have to be really creative in life to get through life. You know, you're dealing with possibly health issues and so forth that comes up. Just things that unexpected that come up that you have not planned for. And I always talk about that. Have a couple of bucks in the bank for emergencies. You know, because you're not going to depend on anybody else to help you. That's just the way it is. Or you could go online, become a YouTuber, and beg for money. You could do that. And that's never done. No, we never see any of that. You could do that. Become a YouTuber, get monetized, and beg for money. And that's becoming a lot more common now. Well, the Filipinos definitely caught up on this. And, you know, if it helps, why the hell not? Yeah, they got all caught up in this. And, you know, some of them are making more money than getting like a call center job or something like that. And why not? God bless them. God bless them. Why the hell not? You got to make a living. And if you have to be dependent, but it's more embarrassing if you're a foreigner, that you have to go make money on YouTube, and that's the reason you're pumping out all these shows. I don't make a dime on my show. Never really did. I'm not monetized. I was. But even when I wasn't making much of anything. Not really. You have to make at least $100 in order to get paid. If you didn't make that, you have to wait till the next month and hope that you reach that $100 mark. And if you were that dependent on that, well, you're doing something wrong. Hey, we're up to 19 now. How about the thumbs up, folks? More thumbs up. Give this old coot a break here. Show your love, and your appreciation. You could do that much. This way I could go to my grave someday and say, they gave me some thumbs up. And I'm always going to remember that day I got an extra thumbs up. Doesn't take much. Doesn't cost you any money. Even if you're a troll, admit it, you love listening to me. So up with the thumbs. I don't know who you are. I never will. But you're here, and you do listen to me, so why not a thumbs up? Now we got a few extra in here now. It doesn't hurt. I have no idea who you are. Just give me a thumbs up. But you love coming to my show, you love listening to me, so it's got to be worth something. Something, anything, folks. Well, we got 5 thumbs up and 21 people watching. I guess that's something, right? What does that tell me, though? Do the math. 21 minus 5. Well, it means that much people are trolls. My snooze alarm's going off. How do I unset this thing on here? Okay, let's see. Okay, well, there's not too much contribution on dialogue here, so that's going to indicate that it's time to get off this thing. I'm going to go finish my tea, or start it. Look at that. You know it's good turmeric if it floats to the surface. That's a hint. Hint, hint. Look at that marvelous stuff. Oh, and the newest thing I hear now with nutrition, some of them are out of their monkey-ass mind. That's why you got to believe me. Don't believe these guys. That, okay, eating oatmeal can contribute to your insulin levels and cholesterol. Well, not if you have rolled oats or steel cut. But your general all-around packets of banana-flavored oatmeal or something has sugar and other crap in it. Thought I'd throw that in. I hope you've been, gaining some knowledge. I put out a couple of really good shorts having to do with this whole cholesterol thing and blah, blah, blah. I hope it's been benefiting anybody out there. Hey, it takes my time to put these things on. It's for your benefit besides mine. But the reason I do this never even talk about this shit because it reinforces me to do these things. So I don't want to sound greedy. It's not just for my viewers that I will come up with little hints about certain health issues and so forth and what you're doing wrong. But according to all these experts, everything we're doing is wrong. One guy turned around and said, this is great for you, and the grains and everything, and it helps scrape out your arteries. And then the other guy turned around and says, no, no, you're adding to the problem. You don't know who to believe anymore. So you do your own research. That's the best thing I could tell you. Average it out. This guy says so much about that. The other guy says so much about this in the negative. Average it out. What does it come down to? Okay, then maybe this food is good for you after all. No, but in all seriousness, I can't emphasize this more. You know how I always talk about obesity. If you're obese, you've already got a fatty liver, and that's really not good. If you're obese, then your glycemic index is going to be off. I'm just telling you the truth. You know, whether you want to hear it or not, some of you don't want to hear it and face the reality. And as far as arterial plaque, you've all have it. And you started really building it up in your 40s, but you could get that from when you're a kid. You got to watch what you eat. And the best thing to do, which is hard for me, but I do it sometimes, skip a meal. They say the best meal to skip is your dinner. Have your breakfast, have your lunch. Some people prefer not to do a breakfast. That could work too. Fasting, just some small fasting to get your numbers and everything into order biologically. Fasting. We don't need to eat 3 meals a day. And as such, and according to what we eat, again, too much carbs is not good. And you'd be surprised, all these cereals you have out there supposed to be so healthy for you are actually not. Granola and all that always thought to be, I got to walk around that granola bar, No, that's not even, there's still sugars in there, and there are carbs and all that. And they say, well, eat more protein. You can't eat too much protein. Like my dog, I'll give you a good example. My dogs are kind of chubsy-ubsy a little bit. They're not active dogs. So the best food I could find for them out here is this pedigree stuff. But the problem is, it probably has high protein in there. The dogs are not active. They're going to gain weight because unless if you're going to have a high protein diet, you want to build muscle, whatever you want to do, fine. But the problem with that is that if you don't burn it off, if you don't do exercise, that protein is going to turn on you. It's going to turn to be flab. So you got to have some activity if you want to increase your protein level. I know maybe you lift weights, you want to get more protein in. Okay, well, you're doing an activity, you're lifting weights. That's good. That's good. Do an activity. Because otherwise, too much protein is just going to really turn into fat. This thing keeps on going off here. Okay, that's about all the advice I could give you for today. And whether anybody takes my advice or not, that's a whole nother story. But I try to do my best and help out a little bit around here, clean up shop. I can only give you so much information, and it's basically what you do with it, good or bad. But I try to adhere to most of my beliefs. I'm not always successful in everything. And as I said, I always have my own cheat sheet around here. I might eat some things. But then again, what happens a lot is like what happens in Filipino families. You eat what's on the table. A lot of times, Gilda will cook up some dinner or something, a lunch for me. And she means well, but it'll be something in there that is not going to be really healthy for me. The French fries are not healthy at all for any one of us, no matter how much you might like potatoes and all that. I could say something commonly said that, if you can't be perfect, do things in moderation. That could work, but not all the time. You just want to get rid, you don't want too many carbs. Your body needs carbs, but for energy and all that, but carbs, they're basically sugar in a different form. Too much of carbs, and your sugar intake is going to be humongous. And like most people that drink Coca-Cola, on top of all the carbohydrates they pull in, Jesus Christ, man, you're fucking with your insulin, your glucose level is going to go through the roof, and you're going to get either pre-diabetic initially or full-blown diabetic, diabetes 2, and that's going to affect every organ in your body, even cause heart attacks and everything else. Oh, one last thing. Our lowly friend, the aspirin. Yeah. The company's Bayer that started this was actually spelt differently, though, initially. But it had these salicylate, I can never pronounce it, in it. And they found that it could help with, some minor pain, but it had other functions. Now, an aspirin is an excellent blood thinner, and some people suggest that if you're over the age of 60, that you take at least a small grade aspirin, a baby aspirin. Now, if you consider the fact that, and this is going back and forth, by the way, but what they believe about the aspirin, I guess it would not hurt to take a baby. And I'm not a doctor, and just talk to your doctor about it, but I'm just going by what I read. Aspirin can be your best friend. If you're having a heart attack, you'll want to take a full adult dose. Even if it means carrying a little package of it, a little flat package in your wallet. Heart attacks can happen at any point. That could save your life by removing or loosening up the clots. Now, if you have a small clot, you have a heart attack. If you have a huge clot, you have a stroke. And you're better off dealing with the latter. I mean, you're better off. You don't want a stroke because that could leave you. If you have a heart attack, you could probably get through it at times. But if you have a stroke, it could leave you paralyzed for the rest of your life, according to how bad the stroke is. Okay, so my thoughts on this is that aspirin, the big bugaboos about aspirin, is that with some people, it could cause ulcers on your stomach and or bleeding, which is not good. But I'm thinking that I may start doing that. See, we all have arterial plaque, every one of you guys out there. Everyone, the sound of my voice, you all have arterial plaque. You do, whether you like it or not. You probably have a fatty liver too, but the aspirin has nothing to do with that. We're talking arterial plaque. You all have it. Don't matter if you like it or not. Check with your doctor, of course, and everybody has their own opinion, because there are drawbacks to taking aspirin, and some people would actually cause bleeding internally, or an ulcerated stomach. So now one guy strongly suggests that the medical association people have gone over this so many times and they've changed their thoughts about it. And they're saying that it probably now does not hurt. If you want to weigh the odds out, what's the worst of the two evils? The possibility of getting a stomach ulcer or bleeding internally, or the fact that aspirin could help unclog your arteries and you won't have a heart attack or stroke, more likely on a heart attack side. So that's a choice that you have to make. So in case you take aspirin and you bleed internally, don't blame me. I'm just telling you the facts. And you could do what you want with that. So I'm actually considering, it's better than taking statins and all that shit, which really fuck you up. Change of diet could help. Exercise can help. Of course, quitting smoking could certainly help. Drinking, obviously. But taking a baby aspirin, which is about 80 milligrams compared to the 325 milligrams on an adult dose, you're probably going to be okay as far as, no guarantee, but you'll probably be okay, not overdoing it. I'm thinking of taking a baby aspirin every other day rather than every day. Not a full adult size, no. But it would help when you go out anywhere. You got a little slot in your wallet. And aspirin don't come in bottles out here in the Philippines. You have these little blister packs, whatever. Take that along with you. I would take the 325 if you're going to be out on the road. Take the 325 milligram. Because if you have a full-blown heart attack, the 80 may not work as well. So go for the big guns. instead of the 22 millimeter, go for the 50 millimeter. You know what I mean? Get the big guns out. It could save your life, especially out here in the Philippines. And most people don't realize that that simple aspirin that you've heard about all your life, good for headaches or something, or minor body aches, could indeed save your sorry ass life. Okay? Got that down? That's my advice. Again, I have to say this all the time. This way you don't come to me with a lawsuit. I don't need. At your own caution. I am not a certified doctor of any kind. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not pretending to be. So what you do on your own accord. And I would always suggest that you talk to your doctor or do your own personal research to satisfy your own needs and your own knowledge. And you make decisions based on that. I could listen to 1,000 different kind of medical shows on YouTube, and it doesn't mean they're all correct, because you'll find a lot of adversity between one medical professional to another and say, no, I don't agree with you, that's wrong. What you've been told all your life, that this was healthy to take or eat, consume, then they're turning around and saying, no, you can't do that. You're going to get plaque from this. You're going to get high cholesterol. Oh, by the way, if you go for you want to go for a cholesterol screening, okay? The one thing where the numbers should be good, that you should be concerned with overall, never mind the certain HDLs, unless they're like way off whack, your triglycerides. If you get a good triglyceride number, you're probably okay. Okay? Remember, Big Pharma is trying to push you to take statins, all kinds of different shit that you don't need to take. But remember, you got to fast. I'm going to be doing that soon, actually. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it today. Oh, I can't. No, I've had, see, even if I have my tea, that matters too. You can't have anything but water. If you're going to, they're going to tell you when you go into the clinic or lab, they're going to tell you, did you have anything at all since 12 o'clock last night? And you have to say no. And you can't if you want to get the numbers correct. But your triglycerides are probably the number on that is your biggest concern. If you've got a good triglyceride, mine always been okay. I might have been a little extra high or a little bit high or low on some of the HDL or total cholesterol, but it's the triglycerides, which is the one that kind of tells a better story. So if you got a good number on the triglycerides, chances are you're okay. Don't worry about it too much. The other things you can get under control by diet and other things, but I think the most critical one actually would be, and look that up, don't believe me, is the triglycerides. Okay, you guys are all talked out, and so am I, so let me get out of here. Enjoy my green tea. And do your own research is what I suggest, and kind of learn for yourself. I don't expect people to take everything I say to heart, you know. I mean, I have no reason to bullshit on health issues on here. I have no reason at all. I'm learning like anybody else does. It's called reading, studying something. And you got to make a decision for yourself. Nobody can make that decision for you, and not even a doctor. The doctors have been wrong many times. They've been giving people the wrong health information about what to consume or what's going to do this and better for you. Then it turns out later from further research that they were wrong the whole time, but yet they kept on preaching the same thing after new studies came out. And I've had doctors like that, especially my gastroenterologist I had in Hawaii. He was full of shit. A very learned man was telling me to basically turn off my proton pump inhibitors, saying that I probably had more hydrochloric acid going on. That's what's causing any GERD or whatever I had. Well, it could be the opposite, that you actually need more acid. Some people are lacking acid. Yeah. Telling me to take these PPIs. Prevacid or whatever, which did more harm than good. You got to make sometimes decisions on your own. Just because somebody's a doctor, don't mean that they're totally right. I think you depend too much on the opinion of a doctor. If he's going to prescribe you a medicine, research it before you take it. Research it. And if you got questions to ask, please do. It's your own body and your own health. That's up to you. You don't let necessarily a doctor control what you eat or what kind of prescriptions that you take. Research the prescriptions and why. Why? Ask the questions. Why are you prescribing me this? When I found out I could do something that's more natural that has just a better effect. It's up to you. I don't control your life. This every day, and for good reason. I'm not going to go into that anymore. Why I do this every single morning, like clockwork. Why I add turmeric and a pinch of black pepper. There's a reason I do this. I don't do it because I want to show you off my cup. And Frank drinks green tea every day. Okay, so what? What are you proving, Frank? Well, maybe I know something you don't. Okay, and you don't have to practice what everybody else does. Nobody's forcing a knife to your neck or a gun to your head and say, hey man, you got to do this or else what? You're in control of your own body, not me. I just come on here and I just bring up a few things that I learned, and you could either learn from that or you don't. That's up to you. Continue becoming obese and have all these medical problems hit you all at once. And sometimes, let me tell you, it's not just one thing that hits you. Sometimes you hit the jackpot. And you get several metabolic disorders that happen with you all at once. When there might have been something you could have done about that. But of course, don't listen to me. And don't do the research. You're responsible for your own self and your own body. Like I'm doing something right now, which is terrible. But if you want to do something terrible in your life, all I ever say is to balance it out with doing some good stuff. It's better than doing everything wrong. Smoking, drinking. If you are unfortunately into doing that, you can do other things that could actually help reverse or retard some of the effects of the bad things that you are doing with your body. Just think about it. There are solutions. There are things that will help you and not hurt you. And remember, not everything that's natural means it's good for you. Oh, because it comes from a plant. Oh, it's from Mother Nature. Fuck that. There's a lot of things from Mother Nature you ain't going to consume, I'm going to tell you right now. You'll die. They could be toxic. But don't listen to me. No, don't listen to me. I've been doing this for 45 years. 45 fucking years. I know a little bit about this and a little bit about that. We'll get into that in the Abbott and Costello routine that they made fun of. I do know a lot of things. Do I practice mostly what I preach? Yes, I do. Do I have a cheat sheet? Yes, I do. I cheat on things sometimes, I'm human. I'll have the urge for something, get a sweet tooth, and put something in front of me, like a piece of cake or a donut or a really good chocolate chip cookie or something like that.